It began quietly, almost too quietly for an announcement that could reshape humanity's understanding of its place in the cosmos. There were no emergency press conferences with nervous officials reading prepared statements, no breaking news alerts scrolling across television screens, and no coordinated disclosure from space agencies preparing the public for paradigm-shifting information. Instead, there was just a single message, meticulously worded and published without fanfare by one of the most recognized physicists on the planet, a man who has spent his entire career explaining the universe to ordinary people. Renowned physicist Michio Kaku delivered what he explicitly called his final warning about Three-Eye Atlas. This was not a tentative hypothesis, it was a total final warning, the kind issued when a scientist has exhausted all other possibilities and arrived at a conclusion they cannot escape. Welcome to Space Nest. Three-Eye Atlas is the third interstellar object ever confirmed by human observation, following One-Eye Oumuamua in 2017 and Two-Eye Borisov in 2019. But neither of those generated the kind of scientific warfare or existential anxiety that Three-Eye Atlas has produced. This object refuses to behave. It has forced one of the world's most celebrated scientists to stake his reputation on a prediction that has divided the community into two hostile camps. Those who fear Kaku might be right, and those who fear what it would mean for humanity if he is. Tonight, we examine the calculations, the 10 anomalies that no one has been able to explain away, and the final warning issued by a physicist who has spent his career bridging the gap between theoretical speculation and physical reality. From the moment of its discovery on July 1st, Three-Eye Atlas refused to behave like a standard comet. It arrived from interstellar space on a hyperbolic trajectory that did not match any known gravitational origin within our solar system. At first, observers saw what they expected, a dust coma and carbon dioxide jets. But then the anomalies accumulated. As Three-Eye Atlas approached the Sun, its mass loss rate increased to levels never reliably recorded. The outgassing produced an anti-coma stretching nearly 3 million kilometers into space, nearly 8 times the distance from the Earth to the Moon. The Chinese Tianwen orbiter captured images of violent, sustained eruptions shooting into space with tremendous energy. Despite these violent eruptions, which should have been tearing the object apart, there was no confirmed fragmentation. The nucleus appeared stubbornly intact. Meanwhile, other instruments recorded a distinct color change, a measurable velocity increase, and significant non-gravitational acceleration. Something was pushing this object, adding energy to its trajectory beyond the gravitational pull of our Sun. These traits, color change, velocity increase, and non-gravitational acceleration, had only been definitively observed together in one place before, Oumuamua. By late October, the scientific community was buzzing with nervous speculation that something was not natural. Then, Michio Kaku ran the numbers, and things went from scientifically strange to thermodynamically impossible. Kaku calculated the energy requirements of those powerful jets and found a deeply disturbing 16 times mismatch. To produce such violent jets through natural sublimation, Three-Eye Atlas would need to expose approximately 1/600 km of surface area to the Sun, equivalent to a nucleus 23 km wide. However, Hubble observations show the nucleus is no more than 5.6 km in diameter. A 5 km nucleus simply cannot sublimate at the rate of a 23 km nucleus. The math does not work. This gap collapses any purely natural explanation, as a natural comet cannot generate more energy than it receives from the Sun. Kaku concluded that for the mass and energy numbers to make sense, Three-Eye Atlas must have already fragmented into at least 16 separate pieces to expose enough surface area. Yet every observation showed the nucleus was whole, no fragments, no debris trail. Kaku issued a clear warning: if on December 19, 2025, 3I Atlas appears intact, we must consider that it is not a natural comet. A machine or technological construct could produce exactly the behavior we are observing. High exhaust velocities from thrusters could provide the observed acceleration with far less mass than natural outgassing would require. If 3I Atlas is still in one piece by that date, the only rational explanation remaining is technology. The scientific world erupted in open warfare. Critics like Brian Cox and David Jewett argued that Kaku had made errors or was misinterpreting the data. The attacks became personal, accusing him of sensationalism, but Kaku did not retreat, challenging his peers by stating that astronomers are trained only to see natural objects and would never confuse a rocket booster with an asteroid if technology were part of their dataset. He then published his list of 10 anomalies, including the 3 million kilometers anti-coma, the 16 times energy contradiction, and mass loss rates that exceed the physical capacity of the observed nucleus. Everything hinges on December 19, 2025, the date of closest approach to Earth. This is when the Hubble and James Webb Space Telescopes will turn their unprecedented gaze toward the object. Hubble will capture the highest resolution images of the nucleus, while Webb will use infrared capabilities to pierce through the dust and detect chemical signatures with extraordinary precision. If the object has fragmented into the 16 pieces thermodynamics demands, the truth will be obvious, the controversy will end, and the scientific establishment will be vindicated. But if it is intact, if the nucleus stands whole despite forces that should have torn it apart, then the natural explanation dies completely. You cannot break the conservation of energy. Kaku's warning would then transform from speculation into documented observation. The object would be revealed as something engineered, perhaps a probe or an ancient relic designed by intelligence that predates our species. As the date approaches, scientists are left with a quiet tremor of doubt. What if Kaku is right? If 3I Atlas is whole, it means intelligence crossed the space between stars long before us, building things that still function eons later. It might be a probe collecting data or a seed carrying something to a destination we cannot predict. It is a test of our humility, whether we can let go of comfortable assumptions and confront the reality in front of us. December 19th will reveal which kind of truth 3I Atlas carries, a comfortable natural explanation or a shattering revelation that we are not alone. Thank you for watching Space Nest. If this exploration has left you thinking, subscribe and turn on notifications, because the images captured on December 19th could rewrite the story of humanity. Tell us in the comments, do you believe 3I Atlas will fragment, or will it remain impossible and force us to confront Michio Kaku's warning? The universe is watching, and for the first time, we might be watching back at something that was watching us all along.